I talk to a lot of founders, and how do you think about when to take a venture capital versus strategic capital?
Pretty much every round we've done, we've always tried to actually bring in both.
Hmm.
Because I think when you're raising, you're ultimately thinking, well, why am I raising in the first place? It's probably because there's some value that you want to bring onto the cap table. There are some groups that you want to bring around the table. Your VCs are going to be able to help you think about how to scale the company, how to hire amazing talent, how to find the right people into the right roles, how to think about building, your sales comp plans, how to think about expanding into new markets. A great VC will just have had enough reps that they'll have seen companies go through the same challenges and solve similar challenges.
Um, what's your beef with Zoom? I've noticed a few posts on LinkedIn. Get off Zoom.
Get off Zoom. I think, COVID created more of a hybrid workforce environment, which is great for flexibility. You don't always have to be in the office or always be in person, not just in software sales, but also in software companies, but also in construction, right?
Books and Bytes.
We've lost Owen.
We lost our host.
That's good, Dustin. It's our show now.
I think we're live too. So, Maria, it's good to see you. There.
It's good to see you.
Right.
All right, we've got Owen back.
I'm back. This is the second time that's happened since we've done this, where you just hit go live and that tab just goes, sorry, we ran into an issue. I'm like, okay, thanks. So we're here anyway.
You're good, Owen.
We're
We're
really
about to get into it.
We're really professional here. We use really great software for this.
Yeah, I feel like I have a good excuse because currently there is some construction work going on in my house. And I have been spending most of this week trying to find an appropriate place to record Bricks and Bytes podcast, which has been extremely difficult. And so here I am hotspotting on my phone in my home office. It's a little bit cold because there's no heating, obviously, because it's all been cut off because of the work. So we're making do. We're not quite at the professional studio level yet.
Yet being the operative term.
It's
Exactly.
a great word.
Watch your space. So, Maria, welcome. Well, you obviously been on Bricks and Bytes before. Dustin, you obviously everyone knows who Dustin are. Martin and Patrick are absent today. We have been like a tag team in the hosting of this show, which I suppose is quite cool actually to have diverse perspectives and different people on here. So, cool, Maria. Actually, before we go there, let me just give some people a little bit of a rundown of what we're going to discuss today. Obviously, we have Maria. You have some exciting news to share with us. I won't spoil it just yet. And then Kevin Holter is going to join us in around about 20 minutes or so. And then we have Stjepan, who is building some software in the AI space for the AEC industry. And then we will have Nick from Leora, which is a contaminated soil sensor. Can't say that it's my area of expertise, so very much looking forward to finding out exactly what's going on there. But to kick things off, Maria, what news are you bringing to us today?
Well, Owen. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on the show. It is a pleasure to be here.
Thank
We're
you.
sharing that we just closed another $10 million investment from Wesco into Kojo. And we are super excited about it. That brings us to a total of $94 million raised, which is, I recently learned, the most raised by a female founder in construction tech history, which is awesome.
Congratulations.
And super excited to be, thank you. And yeah, just super excited to be working with Wesco and rolling out both a strategic partnership alongside the investment, which is also something that's been in the works for a while.
Maria, did any part of you think, you know what? Don't worry about dilution. If I raise an extra $6 million, I can now say I've raised $100 million.
Dustin, the number of people that have asked me that, why do we all worry about dilution? You're right. The 100 number is really the goal that we should be focusing on here.
We all
I'll
do
go
this
back.
for
I'll do
fame
this
of
one.
construction tech.
I will, listen, I now know what I'm going to spend the rest of this year doing.
There you go.
That additional
Okay.
6.
Okay, priorities. Not growing the
Strategy sorted.
business.
Listen, everyone who's looking for angel investors, Dustin will align you on the right priorities. He will focus you on what matters most.
That's right. Hey, what gets you PR? It's the amount of capital you raise. It's not the new customers you land or the products that you release and the product market fit you have. No. So,
It's
no,
that round.
congratulations.
It's the round 100. No, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
You do not raise $94 million on anything other than you have a very, very good business. And you're at a level now that almost no other construction tech companies have reached. I've never reached it. There's just a hand, you count them on less than two hands of companies that have done that. So it's really cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
How hard you've worked.
No, I mean, listen, I appreciate it. And also, I think it's just an incredible testament to both how much construction tech has come. I mean, Dustin, I mean, you're more OG than I am, but I still think back to 2018 and I think about just how much things have changed. And, when you have a company like Wesco, which is a Fortune 500 company, they're public, they are just such an incredible partner for us to work with and such amazing validation. And to think that 7 years after we started, we're in a place where, we have partners like that is pretty amazing.
I talked to a lot of founders, and how do you think about when to take a venture capital versus strategic capital? Have you weighed that decision? Because obviously, uh, I think strategic capital can be really good or especially complementary. But how do you think about that, the trade-off?
We've thought about it a lot. Pretty much every round we've done, we've always tried to actually bring in both. Because I think when you're raising, you're ultimately thinking, well, why am I raising in the first place? It's probably because there's some value that you want to bring onto the cap table. There are some groups that you want to bring around the table. And as we've thought about it, venture capital is amazing at, well, typically amazing at business building, right? Your VCs are going to be able to help you think about how to scale the company, how to hire amazing talent, how to find the right people into the right roles, how to think about building, your sales comp plans, how to think about expanding into new markets. A great VC will just have had enough reps that they'll have seen companies go through the same challenges and solve similar challenges. And generally what I find is, very few challenges are uniquely you are experiencing them for the first time. There's this entire history of companies that came before you that I think it's very prudent to learn best practices from and, really to stand on the shoulders of giants. At the same time, if you think about strategics, they typically know your customers much more than a VC will. And in some cases, they actually are your customers. And so when I think about Wesco, to us, what's so exciting is that Wesco is the biggest electrical distributor in the country, right? They have a phenomenal network, both of actual distribution and partnerships for us to tap into, but also just an incredible wealth of knowledge. They have been operating for a lot longer than we have. There's, I would say, incredible value from working with strategics. And for us, I mean, a lot of customers that we've signed and partnerships that we struck all came out of introductions that strategics have made. So really, I think the value that both of them add is quite different. And so to me, it's always been a matter of how do you bring both in?
Yeah, I completely agree. I've actually, though, been seeing I don't know, have you been seeing this? Like VCs want to take more of the round, especially early on, and not letting other people in? Because I think it's a great lever. Those early customers, if they see all these tech companies getting these valuations, like, hey, can we just get a taste of this? And they don't typically, like Wesco can write a big check, but if you're an early stage founder, it's actually a lever you have where it's like, hey, you want to come in this round, put in 50, 100, 200K. If it's a $15 million round, it doesn't really materially matter. But now you have people with skin in the game and they feel invested. So I think it's actually a tool that's underutilized sometimes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I also think when you're a founder and you're just getting going, right, your job is to maximize your shots on goal. You're trying to maximize the likelihood that the thing you're building is going to be successful. And that means you need capital because the likelihood that your first idea is going to be exactly the right idea and the first product is going to be exactly the thing that is going to add maximal value to your customers is pretty unlikely, right? You're going to have to iterate. You're going to have
Wait,
to.
you didn't build the perfect product from day one?
Do you know, that's, oh my God, Owen, my team will kill me for saying this. Breaking news. No one does, right? You want to give yourself maximum shots on goal. And also you want to build the biggest team around you that's rooting for you, right? You want to have people around you who can help you hire. You want to have people around you who can help you see around corners you don't know that even exist. You want to have people around you who are going to be able to introduce you to customers. You also want people around you who are going to be, if anything, just amazing culture carriers and, are going to come and do lunch and learns with the team and are going to share lessons with various department heads. So build that group, rather build that squad around you.
Yeah, you want those fanboys and girls that are rooting for your team and promoting your team and are going to be diehard your business. And
no, totally.
Yeah,
and if you just have one person rooting for you, that doesn't do as much to maximize your shots on goal as if you have 8.
Yeah, and VCs are really good. I think the venture money helps you tremendously in recognition for your recruiting because a lot of the people you might be hiring, I was like, that's a validation that this company is a viable metric. But hey, if I say I have Norwest on my cap table, I go to a construction tech firm. Hey, I got from one of the largest venture investors. Never heard of them. Oh, XYZ Construction invested in us. Oh, okay, that's a little better validation, a little better signal for those early conversations.
No, 100%. And I also think, right, to early stage founders, when you're trying to hire, I mean, for us in the early days, hiring was so hard because you don't have validation yet. You don't have proof points. And so having those brand name VCs is one of those proof points. Now, fast forward to today, hopefully that's no longer a constraint you have. And there's other areas where you want to make sure that you're actually, getting the value from your investors.
So Maria, how many?
What's next? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say how many? What's your numbers like? How many people are you up to right now in terms of staff?
We are about 140 people.
Oh, that's still a manageable size. You might still know everyone's name.
Oh, I definitely know everyone's name. I still meet every single person that is in a final stage interview.
Yeah.
And my plan is to do that until I humanly can no longer do it.
Till it's like 9 hours a day of meeting new people.
Well, that's why we've had to refine our interview processes to get better at interviewing. But no, I mean, I think, as a CEO, building the team is probably the single most important thing that you do. So you want to be as involved as you can be.
Actually, Maria, I want to ask you a topic that we've never discussed on Bricks, Bytes, and Bucks. And I think it's a topic that most founders never think of. When do you think you hire your first internal recruiter or talent hire?
Great question. We did around our Series B. And in hindsight, I would have probably done it sooner. Because, to reiterate, as a CEO, building a team is the single most important thing that you do at your company. And I think that A players attract A players and want to work with other A players. And ultimately, in the early days, the team that you build, it sets so much of the culture, right? Dustin, I'm sure you guys saw this, right? It's critical, the first, call it 10, 20 people that you bring on to the company. And so if I was doing it now, probably as soon as you have an inkling that you've hit product market fit and you're seeing, okay, the product actually has legs, there's something to scale, right? Don't do it before there's something to scale because first, actually, the number one priority is make sure that the thing you're building is something that people want to use and people get value from. But as soon as there's something to scale, I would go and think about bringing on a talent partner pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, I actually just made an offer to a talent partner because it was the one mistake I also made. I didn't do it early enough, and it's one of my greatest regrets for building Connected.
Wow.
And it's something no one ever thinks about. And then all of a sudden, they're like, how do I hire this many people? I'm going to pay an enormous amount of recruiting fees, and then someone in HR who's not used to hiring people is setting up these structures. And
something else that was a really big learning for us was also focusing on the candidate experience. right? If you have someone who's just an A-plus talent partner at your company, they're going to take your candidate experience from, maybe a B to hopefully an A+, right? They're going to make it so that your processes run faster. They're going to make it so that you're seeing way more qualified people, both for you and them, right? That you're filtering much better and that you're screening much better bidirectionally. And also that the candidates, once they go through the interview process, are much more likely to be excited and be hell yeses.
Yeah,
I talked to
how,
my friends who are interviewing. God,
yeah, I was going to say,
go
how
down.
important is the actual process? Because I could imagine if you have a really good process, then word spreads very quick that you're a serious company, and that then if perhaps the candidate you're interviewing that's going through that process is not suitable, they might know someone else that they then say, look, these guys are like really, really good. You should speak to them, and it opens the doors in other areas where people may not have originally thought that or paid too much attention to the experience that people go through when they are being recruited by a company like either of yours.
I mean, I think the process is hugely important. I mean, Dustin, I'm curious for your reflections on this, but for us, you're in an incredibly competitive market. Right now, everyone's trying to hire. And that's not just in construction tech, right? Think about the Bay Area. You have AI companies that are hiring like crazy. You have so much demand for really, really top talent that having a great interview process is a really important, and I'd say relatively low hanging fruit for setting yourself apart.
I completely agree. I think people don't realize hiring is something you think of from how you brand yourself across all your different assets, from LinkedIn to Glassdoor to various other sites, to that recruiting mechanism on what is our interview process actually looking like, and is it dialed in? I think that hiring right now, one of the biggest challenges, I think there are a lot of candidates, but I think the pool is saturated with people that aren't actually that great, but were in their positions because tech was booming, and now a lot of people have been let go. So the ability to filter through, like, we have some positions where we have incredible number of candidates, but the pool isn't saturated with high quality people. And so being able to filter and weigh those and sort through them is extremely important. But at the end of the day, that experience, I think, matters a ton. I have friends that are interviewing with companies, and just talk to anyone who goes through an interview process. Almost all of them are atrocious. And so if you can just give a really good experience, I do think that word of mouth will help.
I couldn't agree more, especially because, I mean, I think when you think about a space like construction tech, if you're hiring for roles that require construction tech experience, or where construction tech experience is a plus, you're ultimately talking about a finite pool of people, right? Construction tech hasn't actually been around for that long. And if you're looking for companies that have scaled in construction tech and for people that have seen different stages of growth in construction tech, then that pool gets only smaller and smaller. And ultimately, what we found is that if you can have really strong word of mouth, you'll find referrals keep on coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, people tend to know each other. The world of construction tech is very small.
Maria, can I ask a question about where you are? Because in terms of like the stage of your business, you're obviously at Series C extension now. What's
Mhm.
your? Can you tease anything on like what's your future plans? Like where are you headed to right now, or are you in full split scaling mode and flying from there?
I mean, I can tease a little bit, which is to say, the company's grown a lot. And I think in many ways right now is probably the most exciting time to build in construction tech that I've ever seen. So we have just crossed $5 billion in materials ordered a year on the platform, which
Wow.
sounds like a lot and is a lot. But when I think about the overall market size in the US, right, that's just under 2% market share for our target markets. There's still a lot to go. And I think for us right now, the focus is really product expansion. We're building incredibly quickly. I think the team is probably shipping at the fastest velocity that we've ever had. And right now, especially with this partnership with Wesco, we have a big focus on switchgear and lighting and generally just project POs, right? Complex buys. Because when we started, we initially focused on commodities, right? Stock and flow buying. And now we're saying, well, how can we help contractors who are buying things that have incredibly long lead times and that are very, very complex to manage. And I also think it's a really interesting time in the context of AI, because I constantly think, wait, I, can generate 10 university level research papers in a few minutes, but you go to any job site in America and people just don't know where their stuff is. So yeah, we're actively building products.
Off you
Maria,
go.
with procuring some of those longest lead times, highest dollar value pieces of equipment or items for a project, does that pull your software upstream? Because some even general contractors or owners might want to go out and procure those early before making the selection on who's the ultimate installer.
It definitely does. I'd say for us, what we would call the enterprise segment has become a very big and increasingly bigger part of our business. And I think what we're now seeing is that also everyone is really labor constrained. And so even if you're a big trade contractor, you will typically work with smaller trade contractors. You'll have various JVs. You'll be thinking about how you can maximize your warehouse capacity. We have some of our customers have sort of started acting almost like distributors themselves, right? Where they themselves are able to purchase materials, to stockpile materials. And so definitely we've seen a pull upstream.
Does that enable some of your customers to diversify their business model then?
It does. I think for a lot of our customers, right now, there's an insane amount of demand from data centers. Probably the number one topic that anyone wants to talk about is data centers and data center building. At the same time, we have a lot of customers who also have more of the traditional businesses, right? They're building everything they're building hospitals, they're building school campuses, they're building gas stations all the way through to multifamily apartment buildings and lab spaces and everything in between. And so I think when you talk about diversification, it's actually a conversation we've been having with a lot of people, because I think some contractors are very weary of diving full on into data centers and having all of their eggs in that one basket. Because as we've seen, the world is unpredictable. You have a lot of unknowns. And even though I would say over the next 5-10 years, data centers are a pretty sure bet when you think about the direction the US is going into, I think for a lot of people, they don't want to let go of those traditional revenue streams that have made their businesses successful today. I'm curious, Dustin, what are you guys seeing about this? Because I'm sure that, again, data centers is topic number one.
Topic number one, I know some companies that are highly levered, like 80% of their business is data centers. I think any good steward of a industry where you're heavy skewed towards service, many of our customers are actually service providers, which means they're going to have to ramp up a lot of employees to facilitate this type of work. I think when you start getting over that 50%, I think it does create risks long term. I, like you, am quite bullish on that market, but I think there's going to be hiccups along the way. And so if there's hiccups, how resilient is your company, and how much have you built in the ability to flex and ramp back down accordingly so that you're not. So I think it creates opportunities for, I think, businesses that have really good CFOs and FP&A services to utilize those skill sets. I do think that there will be some companies that overextend themselves, and there will be some companies that make all this money and then we're positioned well when there's a retrace.
Yeah. Well, I also think it leads. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, I was just going to add to that. I think what we're also seeing is there's a lot of consolidation. And so if you today are running a trade contracting business, right, you're probably thinking about what's next. You see all these stats about a third of the construction workforce is going to retire within the next 5 years. You have the new generation coming in. And I think a lot of companies we talk to are thinking about that diversification through the lens of what's the exit for them, right? Are they going to have an ESOP and they're going to have their, someone from their existing team take over? Or is it a family-owned business? Are they going to look to, merge with any one of the growing number of roll-ups that we're seeing in the space?
I've talked to 2 or 3 P&A funds that are doing roll-ups in like the last 30 days. We're literally
it's all over the place. we're
We
seeing
got
it all the
Kevin
time.
here.
And I think for companies, oh, hi, Kevin, what's up?
How we doing? Great to see you all.
Good to see you. We
you-
were just saying that I think the consolidation in the industry, I think, is going to drive a lot of companies to be very strategic about the type of work that they take on. Because if you think about any one of these data centers, they're crazy labor constrained. And so you need to be thinking, well, where am I going to get all of this labor? That's a lot of what's driving consideration of, okay, am I going to go into a JV? Am I actually going to go and consolidate with other companies in my area or in other areas that I want to expand into? And so I think that's something that's definitely on everyone's mind.
Well, what's fascinating to me is actually what people aren't talking about is energy. How do you power these? And I think that's another industry that is extremely underfunded and has a shortage of labor.
Kevin,
So
we like to give financial advice here sometimes. Yeah, I'm buying some energy companies right now. No, we don't give
Okay.
financial advice here, although sometimes I call out stocks.
Oh, and I think you're going to have to
Oh,
start
Owen
adding a
managed-
disclaimer, otherwise.
Yeah.
I told you before off air that we've been looking at our insurance premiums. So I think our next one will be to hire a lawyer to help us with some of our disclaimers. I think, Kevin,
Yeah.
to your point, the solar industry is one of the most, with the highest rates of unemployment, specifically related to construction. I read earlier today. It's very, very
I'm
underserved.
talking, if you're talking, so a friend of mine runs construction at NextEra Energy, right? They're just been crushing it for a long time. If you look at a lot of the grids, right, the brownout, this is before this AI boom, Texas, California, Texas brownouts, like New England, you're seeing the cost of electricity in residential go up. A lot of it is just due to the old grids. So the grids can't handle the new forms of energy, whether that's solar and batteries. So you're talking about the grids can't handle it. And these AI, basically data centers, are just requiring not just incredible amount of construction, but it's energy, right? You're seeing what people are pre-booking energy, right? Pre-buying it. People, bought old nuclear reactor in 3 Mile Island. I mean, this is like, people know it's going to become a bigger issue.
Yeah, that's the space to watch.
So what
Kevin,
stock should we be buying, Dustin?
Oh, you want me to give tickers?
Check out some of the previous
Gonna put you on
episodes. Yeah, to the point on renewable energy.
I just bought some Baker Hughes, if anyone's looking.
Wait, literally right now, that was you typing?
No, I was seeing how it was doing. Yeah, I was like, I couldn't remember if it was BRK, and then I realized that was Brookshire, but it's BKR. So I was just getting a ticker.
Yeah.
BKR. Don't buy it on my advice.
Is it
Disclaimer.
just on the energy piece? Just to add to the point about energy, solar accounts for 60% of all jobs in the U.S. renewable energy sector, and 181,000 of the people that work in it are related to construction. Interesting fact.
Kevin, did you hear about Maria's news?
No, what's up?
We just announced a strategic partnership with Wesco, Kevin.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very, very excited. We're launching a product with them, which is a project PO product, and they also invested $10 million in us. So very excited.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, it's the first deal of its kind, which I really love because you're bringing very traditional, best-in-class distribution together with code.
With
Yeah.
best in
No,
class,
it's
I
great.
love
Hey, I always
Maria.
thought
Maria,
I
don't know
always
the
thought you were
structure.
building something special around the supply chain. Right now, I think people are waking up, as you said, due to the heavy demand, that really it's all about supply. The underserved areas are supply chain, materials, labor, right? And right place and right time and right skill sets. And then it's also pre-construction, right? Dustin, you're working on it. Like, these are underserved. Like, now you have 2 project management solutions in Autodesk and Procore. As others, you have different design, but like, the pre-construction element, and the supply chain are 2 really underserved areas. So that's exciting. It's exciting that partnership, and 10 million is quite the big check to invest.
No, thank you. I mean, yeah, to us, we sort of said, well, people announce partnerships all the time, right? You look on LinkedIn and there's a new
Yeah,
partnership being announced pretty much every single day. And
Yeah.
no one really knows what partnership means.
Mm.
And a lot of these partnerships, they don't really have legs. So for us, that's in part why the investment was such an important piece of it, to actually say, no, this is a partnership that we're both committed to, we're both taking very seriously. And,
Yeah.
we're the largest construction procurement system out there. They're the largest electrical distributor out there. So let's bring the two of us together and solve the time-old problem of contractors knowing, where is my stuff?
So what does the partnership entail? Like what is besides the 10 million investment in Kojo? Yeah, how is the partnership being defined, and what are the commitments on both sides?
Well, the biggest focus of it is building products together.
Okay.
We have been working really, really hard together with the Wesco team on building out this product that's really focused on long lead time items. So on
Okay.
making it easy for people to know what's arriving when, to essentially see their bill of material as a living, breathing document.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about this before you joined, but for people building everything, right, from data centers
Yeah.
to any
Yeah.
project that's complex, when you think about the project management that has to go into tracking those items, it's up to 25% of a PM's time on some of these projects. These
Yeah.
orders last the entire lifetime of a project. It's not a one and done. You're waiting
Yeah.
in some cases 50 weeks, in some cases 100 weeks for stuff to show up, and you've got to keep track of where it is and what's already arrived. So yeah, it's really, really focused around product development.
Maria,
Wow, that's very cool.
I could think of a software company that could use that data when they're estimating construction projects.
Oh, can
Specifically,
you, Dustin? Who would
yes,
that be?
I can. No, this is one of the things I absolutely love about construction tech, because oftentimes you're building software for an ICP, but then because that ICP is using it, they're always interacting with other businesses. And then you find that there's always creative opportunities to partner with the people they're communicating with. So you now are partnering with that distributor that's producing the products that your core competency needs. I love
Mhm.
that. Building Connected, we've partnered with insurance companies,
Mhm.
XXL, in order to make sure that people were qualified for their projects. So there's unique opportunities when you're a SaaS company here to explore like partnerships with the businesses of the businesses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dustin, I think that's a really good point. Because, I think companies often talk about how everyone's worst nightmare is having 10 different systems, none of which talk to each other. And sometimes I think that interpretation just applies for people for tech. So they're like, oh, well, of course, we've got to be integrated with the ERP and we've got to be integrated with the project management system. But you're right, there's an entire broader universe of things that you needed to be integrated with to actually deliver an end-to-end experience. And that shouldn't just be limited to the ERP and, your immediate tech counterpart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, all
So
too
this is
often
part
construction is about B2B communication. And so, I mean, this is something that Autodesk talked about and Procore talked about, but they would always talk about, Procore would say Procore should talk to Procore, which it doesn't. And Autodesk would talk about federated data, which is how they hand data between each other, which it doesn't really do. And so if you can solve those problems on how B2Bs more effectively communicate, it's a big freaking deal in this space where it's no project is built by one company. Everyone who tries that, Katera, fails because it's really hard.
And you're
What
also
do you,
not using one supplier either. My first company was in supply chain for equipment being delivered to a job site. You're renting equipment from multiple providers all different times. And if that equipment doesn't show up, the labor's just sitting there and you're paying that labor force, right? It's impacting the schedule. And you're having to use multiple vendors and find availability, the best price, but also can you deliver it at that time and place? So it's highly complex, the whole supply chain. It's only has gotten more challenging with the rise of data centers. So this is an exciting partnership, Maria. And that sounds like, and it's also part of a larger round. I thought I read. Correct.
Yeah, it's an extension to our Series C. We were talking about this earlier, but
Yeah.
for us, as we've thought about every round, right? In our Series C, Battery led it, they're phenomenal tech investors. And then
Yeah.
alongside it, we brought in RXR, we brought in Schneider Electric, we've now
Yeah.
brought in Wesco. And I think the combination of industry specific investors and venture investors together has been, to us, a hugely accelerative combination.
Nice. And are you pretty much focused on the data center projects then, exclusively?
We focus, on everything. Again, I think data centers is what people want to talk about most these days, in part because a lot of our customers have grown like crazy. I mean, we talk
Yeah.
about hyperscalers in the sense of tech. You've got hyperscalers in construction. We have
Yeah.
companies that when they started working with us, they did $100 million in revenue. Now, 5 years later, they're doing $300, $400 million in annual
Yeah.
revenue. And
Yeah.
they're still growing. And so I
Yeah.
think data centers is a really hot button topic because to hit that level of growth, right, that's where there's an insane number of investment dollars
Yeah.
going into it. I mean, this year you've got $40 billion in the US going into just the construction of data centers. The current forecast is that grows more than 10% a year. So call it that by 2030, that's $65 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, our customers really build everything you can think of.
Yeah. It's great.
Hey, did you
I've been rooting for you for a long time, so this is exciting.
Thank you.
can we flip the gear slightly and talk about then some new announcements in the big tech world of our industry. One being Procore, the other one being Oracle. Let's start with Procore. So I guess everyone that listens to this podcast will probably be familiar of this news right now, but in case they're not, Procore have appointed a new CEO finally, and that person is Ajay Gopal, and he was the CEO of Ansys, and I've just found some stats here. It's pronounced Ansys or Ansys? I'm sure I've heard both. Anyway, it's a firm.
Ancestors, right?
Ansys,
We're
yeah.
British, Owen. How we pronounce things, we get a free pass.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not sure about my British, but yeah, I'll take yours. A firm that creates engineering simulation software from 2017 to 2025. And while there, Ansys more than tripled its revenue, nearly quadrupled its market value, and joined the ranks of the S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100. Kevin, what's
I
your?
have some opinions.
Okay, Dustin, you go first. You broke
Go.
the ice, and then we'll go to Kevin.
And I'm going to jump in. I've got to head
Fine.
out. But guys,
Sure.
a pleasure to see everyone. Thank you for having me. And
Thanks, Maria.
I
Maria,
will
great to see you.
listen to the
Sure.
Congrats on
Thank
the
you so
round.
much. Congrats. See you soon. Bye.
Right. So I have several thoughts. First thought is I'm very surprised by this selection because this person was also already on the board of Procore. So he's been sitting on the board of Procore, where Procore has essentially been stagnant since they've gone to IPO. So I thought for sure they would inject some new blood to change whatever's going on, because Autodesk is running up fast on their heels and catching up in the marketplace. And you have someone that's been sitting with a seat at the table the entire time. So that's kind of shocking to me. Number two, I actually studied aeronautical engineering and mechanical engineering. I've used those tools to write simulations. The problem I have is that makes me think they're going down the Autodesk path where everything is design centric, and design then leads to what's going to be built. And this is where, if to go back to Autodesk University, which I've never commented on, but I will right now, the keynote for Autodesk and Andrew and their vision of the future, I fundamentally disagree with. Andrew got up there and did simulations of moving buildings around and then extracting quantities after you move buildings around, and then it prices something.
And
That's an
air
insane
fryers.
vision of the future. It's an insane vision of the future. You're not just moving buildings around and then, okay, we got a design and now we get a price, because then you end up with a design that costs way too much for what the owner is going to pay. And people need to start realizing that the first input is what the client can afford. This is what target value design is. What is your budget? And then you figure out a design that can meet that budget. And so both companies, I think, have this. I think Procore is trying to compete with Autodesk on design, and then Autodesk only knows design first. And both models, I think, or that one model, I don't think is going to pan out as the future of construction. Instead of design then price, we need to price then design. And that's the future I see for this industry. So don't like that pick. Don't know him, probably a genius, but you've been sitting at the table the entire time and the stock's done nothing. So
Great take.
that's my controversial assessment.
I love it.
Well, I would say just congratulations on Tui on a 20+ year run. Right?
Absolutely. He's a heck of a guy.
Thank him. He's a heck of an entrepreneur, innovator, and I've competed against him at PlanGrid and at Autodesk Construction, and he's really changed the contact landscape because by taking a company public, right? That made contact an industry that investors wanted to invest in, builders wanted to build for, right? And that created an ecosystem of money going into the space because he demonstrated that you could take a company public in the space for a great outcome. So he really had a tremendous impact on the ecosystem that is here today. So, and 20 years is a long run for any founder CEO. So hopefully he enjoys some more time with his family and time to travel and a break. He's still chairman of the board, so he's still going to be active. And he built the first cloud-based project management system that took a lot of market share from these legacy desktop first solutions. And he really modernized the construction stack and then built a platform that startups could integrate with it and provide more value on top. So he's done a great job and in building out a really a brand for the industry that people know and trust. I think with the pick, it's not easy replacing a founder CEO in any company, in any industry. This is hard, right? And this is a hard business, as Dustin said, to build for, sell into, market to. People are slower to change, slower to adopt, risk averse, margins are thin. So where do you go next with this platform? And I think they have struggled the past couple of years. Where do they go next? They did very well with the general contractor community. They started targeting trade contractors, hasn't had that same level of success. Owners, right? Very similar, not that same level of success that they've had in the general contractor community. Where do they go next? They've made some acquisitions. Some of them have panned out, some of them haven't, right? So I was hoping for the next CEO to be the next founder type, right? Very product centric, someone that's a builder and a technology builder with a product vision, right? Because you really need to replace the founder CEO with really another founder. And whether you acquired that company and that company eventually became the, the CEO, or you brought someone in from outside, the challenge is it's hard to bring someone outside and hit the ground running, right? To the industry and to Procore. So I understand why they made a comfortable pick, but I would have preferred a pick with someone that has more of a product background versus a CEO kind of financial background.
Kevin, I think that might be the strategy. They needed to put someone in there, and this is a transition CEO. Like, hey, let's find maybe a company to acquire, but they can't just announce that Tui's retiring and then not put someone and say, hey, we have a leader here. Because it was getting, I think it was over 6 months, and that's kind of a weird position to be in. So that could be the strategy long term.
And he obviously knows how to run companies, run them efficiently, and grow them. And so even just taking Procore to the next level with operational efficiency, that's the name of the game right now. How can you be operational efficient, right? How can you deploy capital? How can you return capital? So he's obviously been very successful. He knows the ins and outs of the companies. So he probably can have a great impact. Personally, I'm more excited about the Oracle pick and where Oracle's going. I'm also more excited about the opportunity for more ERP players to get into the game, because that's where I see the industry going, right? Building construction is all about a supply chain, materials, labor, equipment, and it's all about financial controls. It's all about payments and how to pay people on time and properly. Obviously, there's a huge amount of risk and insurance as well, but a lot of the ERP players have been sitting on the sidelines, right? And do they start playing a more active role, right? And moving from, the back office to more and more of the front office. And I think Oracle has been, uniquely positioned for quite some time in the construction space, because they also do great business with owners and federal owners, state and local owners, and tons of firms run, their financials through Oracle. So Oracle is in a very interesting position with their investments in data centers, AI, industry clouds.
They're moving right to the
by the
infrastructure
way,
too.
clients that are using them are building a ton. their healthcare clients are building a ton of healthcare systems, right? Their data center clients are some of the top builders, and the list goes on. So it's going to be very interesting to see someone at the helm that has CTO Primavera, was the SVP and GM at Oracle Construction, then became president of Oracle Industry Clouds, which include healthcare and other very large industries, which are also hard to sell into, which are also risk averse, right? But massive global industries that can really have a huge dent on society. And now he's CEO. So that career trajectory, he is focused on serving, in my mind, underserved global industries that are harder to build and sell into. So that's exciting, I think, the Oracle pick.
Yeah, they're really
I
pushing.
think
Looks
so
like they're
too,
really
because
pushing
what it
in the
might
construction.
enable is,
Sorry,
yeah,
Dustin.
and what it might enable is like, we've only really seen two companies be active in the M&A space of the venture funded companies. Trimble's traditionally bought these P&E firms, and like they bought Viewpoint, obviously P&E backed a couple times, I think it sold, but they haven't been active in like acquiring some of the, high growth venture funded companies. And to have a third company in the space that's also active in M&A would be super exciting. So him coming from that space, I think at least it will always be like you don't leave construction tech and then go, oh, I don't have a soft spot for that ecosystem. I'm sure he's going to be entirely focused on their data center business, but having that person in there, hey guys, I know there's an opportunity here. Let's start looking. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, and I would even say, based on conversations we
100%.
have, that they're really putting effort into Oracle Primavera Cloud, the OPC. It's not quite there yet, from what I
Yes.
hear, but they are like doubling down and really trying to make that into a substantial product. And they already have the ERP system, so they're
Yes.
layering on like the cloud-based version of this. Yeah, like the points you guys are
Well, they
making,
got
would be a very
Textura and
powerful player.
payments. I think, payments is a big problem in this industry. And they have some new product leaders who I know. And that connection between around payments and getting paid for work in place and when work is done and timely has a massive impact, on how you build. And so they have some existing assets that are well positioned and have a lot of market share. And how can you modernize, connect them, acquire, you know, other complementary assets, or, as you said, extend them and integrate them into other systems? I think that the industry is opening up, that instead of competing head to head with the closed systems, let's open up, right?
Yeah.
Dustin and I were on a call with Don Jacob from Nemcheck, right? Another company that have had a great brand in the industry at Bluebeam, but it was sitting on the sidelines with doing investments and acquisitions. And now they're active. And that's so exciting because Bluebeam gets it, right? They understand, you know, you got to build a community. You got to win the end users' trust. You got to provide them value. They have to bring it up to the executive team that this is going to add value to the organization and the projects. So to see them as an active investor and now acquire with Firmus, right? Very exciting,
Yes.
technology in the pre-con segment. That's exciting to me because they get construction. They're a large global company. They understand the end users. And I was wondering why they were sitting on the silence for so long. So it's great to see them becoming, as Dustin said, instead of just an Autodesk, Procore, Trimble, like they're another major player on the stage. I know more people going to Unbound from Contact than any year prior, right? They're building out just like Autodesk had to do. Contractors weren't going to, other than their design side of the house, to AU. Now contractors go to
Yes.
AU to hear about construction.
Oh, yes.
Unbound is also changing, right? So it's great to see this investment in building these communities, and there's more and more major players. So I'm excited for Nemcheck. I'm excited about Oracle, and it'll be interesting to see. People have been waiting, as Dustin said, not just 6 months, several years. Where does Procore go next?
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see where the figures go.
I
with
still would
Procore.
like to see, like, Nemechek hasn't wrote a big check. Like Firmus isn't public, so it's that check was definitely sub 100, probably sub 50. Trimble has made a I think it's $1.2 billion acquisition of Viewpoint, but there's nothing in that, like, plus 100 to $1 billion range that anyone else has made other than Procore and Autodesk. And I think if you saw Nemetschek or Oracle pick up something between 100 and a billion, I think that would trigger to Autodesk. They need to be more aggressive. Procore, they need to be more aggressive. Nemetschek, they need to be more aggressive. Like it's like one domino falls, and there's a lot of contact companies that could really use some help right now. Like they're in
Oracle bought Aconex. Oracle Aconex.
Yeah, but that's that $1 billion above. Yeah, the large one. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin,
I think contact companies also. Yeah.
Kevin, quick one before you need to leave. What's your beef with Zoom? I've noticed a few posts on LinkedIn. Get off Zoom.
Get off Zoom. I think COVID created more of a hybrid workforce environment, which is great for flexibility. You don't always have to be in the office or always be in person, not just in software sales, but also in software companies, but also in construction, right? You don't always have to be on the job site. And technologies like open space and drones and other things have made that increasingly possible for owners, clients, which is huge, but also for different teams that don't always have to be on site, which it's not just financial benefits of travel costs, it's safety and risk benefits. So it's great to see those technologies enable it. But I think, having COVID and then companies didn't want to invest in travel because they didn't have a travel expense budget for several years. People are just sitting in their home office. They're not going out to build those trusted relationships. And yeah, it's great to have Zooms like this and you can connect virtually. But I would argue I have a much closer relationship with Dustin and you because we've had time together in person, whether it's going for a walk, having a coffee chat, going out to dinner, going for a run, going to an event in person.
Which Kevin and I have done together, gone for a run.
Yeah, we've done all these things, right? So I think that's how you build trust. That's how you have those conversations that you're probably not going to have over Zoom. Guess what? Everyone's recording every conversation on Zoom with those note takers. Are people going to be honest and transparent around what is working or not working on their project or at their company? They're not going to have it anymore. Now everyone assumes everything's being recorded. So where can you have those authentic, real conversations around where the project or that person is struggling? Where do they need help? Where are they looking for a solution? How you can help them? Get off Zoom, go sit down with people, build that trust. I'm telling you, that is how we took market share from Procore at Autodesk Construction. We didn't have the best platform. It wasn't fully built out or integrated, even with the Autodesk acquired assets. We got out there, sat down with our clients, listened to understand their business, tried to be the best partner to them, and focused on a long-term partnership. But you do that by building trust up and down the stack of the company. So I'm telling the young kids, you're not going to accelerate your career sitting at home in your pajamas, right? Get off Zoom, whether it's to network, whether it's to grow an existing account or win a new account, right? Relationships matter. It's a people business. And you buy from people you trust, especially as that ticket size goes up. I don't see many enterprise deals closing over Zoom.
Nice.
Oh, and Kevin and I were on a go-to-market call actually earlier this week, and we both agreed on this point. I find a lot of founders, for some reason or another, are kind of scared, for lack of a better word, to get out and meet people. And the one thing, like, a lot of them want to do this email correspondence and build this sequencing campaign to fully automate how they build a relationship, where if they're in a metropolitan area, they literally could go to 4 GC offices or subcontracting offices or 5 in a day, show up with donuts, and probably get 50% of them to sit down and have a meeting. And if you did that over the course of a week, you would have a lot higher hit rate than you would with whatever sequencing campaign you've done. And people are like, that doesn't scale. I'm like, actually it can scale quite effectively if you build a rep in each geographical area. And so, like, some people try to overcomplicate sales sometimes. And I also agree with Kevin. You don't close gigantic enterprise deals over Zoom typically. I have I have done that.
Yeah.
But like, hey, we're 45 people and I'm on a flight about every week right now. And I'm going to these offices, these HQs, and I'm sitting down with their decision makers and saying, look, before you, I'm trying to let them know, it's not just you're betting on the software today, you're betting on the team behind the software. And if you're going to make a bet, you should bet on my team and my software and my company. And the way you instill the confidence to write a big check, because people do not like switching providers, is you go in and you shake their hand and you have the capacity to look them in the eye and you explain your value propositions and why your company is going to differentiate itself long-term from the competition.
Beautiful.
You're just not going to get that level of, it's going to be impossible to instill that level of confidence over these screens.
Very good.
People wonder, how are you going to support me after the sale, right? How are you going to ensure my adoption, my success? You want, as someone says, a throat to choke, right? The nicer way is you want to trust a relationship that if you call, they'll pick up the phone and they're going to support you, right? You're signing maybe not just a lot of money, you're signing for 3 years, 4 years. That's a long time. Are you going to deliver on the roadmap? Are you going to deliver on the customer success and support, right? And rollout? Am I going to get the adoption? Am I going to see those outcomes you promised me that I need for my business, that I need for my career to look good? So you build that trust by understanding their business, listening, and you're going to get to listen and get in front of more people when you do that in person. And funny enough, after that meeting, later that day, Dustin, I had a call from a founder from a successful contact company, a very top engineering leader who's starting a new company in actually an electrical estimating and very exciting what he's working on. And he said, I'm not getting the responses. Same thing, running email sequences. And I said, I know where you live. You, within 30 minutes, have so many HQs or regional offices headquartered there. You're blessed. You're in the Bay Area. They're also industry thought leaders. Like, go offer to bring them lunch. And guess what? It's not just one person, 5, 10 will show up. Or ask, hey, if you're not the right person, who else should I be talking to you? And next thing you know, you get it, just start picking up the phone and offer to buy someone coffee.
Here's a really good secret that's kind of obvious.
Hey guys, we should welcome Stjepan as well.
Everyone
Stjepan, you've come in at an interesting point.
Yeah.
Hey,
we're mid-flow.
I actually didn't know the whole plan. Am I late? Am I on time?
No, you're all good.
You sent me the invite.
We're live. We're good. We're just mid-flow and having a rant about getting away from Zoom and going to meet your customers in person.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Hey, Dustin, finish what you were saying, and then we'll move on to some questions.
Well, that office manager or receptionist is actually a wonderful person to be super cordial with. You make that person happy. She knows who to talk to. She knows how to coordinate it. You get her I shouldn't say her or him, some Starbucks gift cards. You're going to get in the door. You can get a meeting. Guaranteed. You will have like an 80 to 90% success rate if you just go talk to that person.
Well, also Maria was on earlier from Kojo, right? She serves, she's a great new partnership with Westco Electrical Distribution. So obviously a lot of electrical specialty contractors. That was a bread and butter for us at PlanGrid, right? We were mobile, getting information to and from the field. So we worked with a lot of MEPs. And these people are in the field, right? So if you want to meet the decision makers in the field, even the VP of field operations, they're hopping from job to job, right? If you want to get the decision makers together just to reach them, guess what? That executive admin, right? That executive coordinator that's coordinating all these schedules, they know where they are. They know the best time. They could actually connect the dots for you. I knew that I had the people on speed dial, right? And just come by, hey, when's the best time, right? You don't want to be a burden. They understand you understand you're looking to help them, give them time back, right? Make their job better, right? Provide them value, but you also want to do when it's the right time, right place for them. Guess what? They're probably having a meeting in the office one day that week. Could you come and present the first 5 or 10 minutes? And that next, that 5 or 10 minutes turns into a follow-up meeting or turns into 40 minutes, right? Or, and at least hopefully a next step. So 100%, you got to get to know everyone on their team. And if you don't care about everyone in that team, that's a red flag to them. Oh, wow, you treated my executive admin or my coordinator like, not very well. You're definitely not getting a meeting, right?
Goes both ways. To the executive assistant.
Maybe I can just add one thing to this, Owen, before you get started. I'm sorry again. But this is super interesting. I'm just thinking because again, I'm from Europe. I have this maybe. I mean, I live in LA now, but I was just thinking about what you were saying. Like, I think it's so much easier to do stuff like that. To meet everybody and to get like the real value immediately here in America. But coming from Europe and coming like especially doing business in the Middle East where everybody's dressed the same, typically, is like it's pretty impossible to find who is the boss and who is the decision maker.
Nice.
So I think that what I think could apply to any region in the world is just to spend time with those people, just to
Mm.
spend time to actually get to know them, to actually understand their issues and the core value, and offer a lot of like show up for free a lot of times. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think we
Yeah, know their
definitely.
culture. Know, yeah, who's the decision maker or buyer budget may not be the person you thought it was,
Mm.
or the right influencer, but like show that you care. Show that you care about like their company, what they're working on, their problems, their their successes. They just won a huge new project, and also their culture. People underestimate that. Like, are you a culture fit with them? Right? You have to be able to align cultural and values as well as business outcomes.
Maybe
100%
dress the
important.
same if you're
If you
going
don't
to the
seek to
UAE.
understand the company at its core, it's not going to work. Exactly.
Mm. Hey, let's go to Stjepan.
Yeah.
Stjepan, tell us about what's like the general consensus from your side is someone who spends a lot of time exploring AI in the AEC space. Are people excited? Are they skeptical? Are they somewhere in between?
I think a year ago they were very. It also depends on the culture that we just mentioned. Okay, just for the guys, I don't know. Listen, Owen, because you sent me an invite at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I just joined. I don't know if I'm late. I
No,
apologize if I
yeah,
am, but
yeah. We don't let people prepare. We just like throw you straight in. It's the best way.
okay, yeah, cool. Because I was okay, cool, and there's like two more people, which is really nice to meet you guys. I just didn't know. I kind of just jumped in. Like, okay, I guess there's the
Yeah.
discussion going on.
Here we are.
Yeah, no problem. So just for a bit of context, I don't know if you introduced me or not, but I go by Stjepan. My name is Stjepan, but I go by Stjepan. I'm born and raised in Croatia. I lived in Denmark for 10 years, and I am in LA now for 6 months. I have two companies where one of them is called AI in AEC. I make like online courses, online workshops, or I mean AI workshops to help people implement AI and learn it. And these courses sold in 67 countries so far. Um, and the other one it's on my T-shirt here, NeoStack. It's something new we're doing. It's because everybody in the AEC industry knows how to sell time and materials, but they don't know how to sell or account for technology. So this is what we're helping them track and manage all of your apps, licenses, and so on. We're still in beta, so it's still very early. But yeah, that's kind of my perspective.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, Stefan, tell us, yeah, what's the consensus on AI and AEC? And I'm very interested to
mhm.
explore with you about because you have had this incredible momentum building content and community, and then launching a business on top. So I think people would be very interested to hear your thinking behind that. Like, how intentional was it? How are you leveraging it?
Yeah. Okay. So I started building this thing called the AC AI Hub, like, what is it, 3 years ago now? I never expected it to be anything, but like what it became over time, it became the world's largest database of AI tools for the AC industry. And I put it online for free on LinkedIn. It's still free. It's on my website. And people are like, hey, how did you collect all of these 1,700 apps together and researched all of them? I was like, I don't know. I figured out very early on that AI is this big deal that you shouldn't be skeptical of, because regardless of whatever we say about technology here, it's going to continue moving forward. So whatever we are fearing or not, it's going to continue moving forward. So I was like, okay, this is a big deal. This is like the huge, probably the biggest deal in our lifetimes, when it comes to change that's finally happening in the AC, because we've been stuck with technology, the same technology for decades. And it's finally so much change happening. So I do love that. To answer your question on what I'm seeing as like the one of the most surprising facts out there is that I think that the leadership of companies, the management of companies, heavily underestimates the amount of AI usage in their company. I can, yes, I can tell you that I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I just think that they're looking for a smarter way to work. So you can't really blame the people, and I don't blame them myself. Like, we think of it from your own perspective. You also tinkered with some AI tools just because it seemed interesting to you, or somebody recommended it, or you thought it can help you with your work. And now probably your job is different, or my job is different because maybe we have our own company, so it's like you're the decision maker, right? But for most employees, they see something on TikTok, or their colleagues tells them about something, or they see something on LinkedIn or whatever. They're like, let me just do this, because if I go through the approval process where my leadership is focused on strategy planning for quarter 2 2026, it's like it's gonna take me months before I get the approval. Let me just test these free credits. But this is typically what I see when I go to organizations. That I ask who's using AI today, and every employee raises their hand, and then very few leaders actually raise their hands. So um, I mean, listen, most of my okay, I've been lucky in that regard, and probably biased in what I'm gonna say after this, but I've been lucky in that regard that all of my clients have come to me. All of them have come to my website. They've come to speak with me, my email, and they're like, Stjepan, we saw what you did online. We saw this. Let's work together. So probably people who all well, it's a blessing, man. I mean, it started with offering free value, literally free value, and with no expectations. I never expected to have a business. I never expected to have like to be where I am. I just worked a normal architecture job. I just started posting and sharing my knowledge online in terms of AI, in terms of BIM, in terms of any AC technology that I was seeing, and people for some reason reacted to it in a positive way. And then people started asking me questions. Hey, what should I do? What should I use? How can I implement this? How can I do? I was like, maybe I can help these people. And I started having meetings, like, I don't know, 10 meetings a day. I was like, maybe I can charge for this. So that's how the business came about. So, but yeah, I think my LinkedIn, primarily LinkedIn, but also YouTube and so on, really filters out. So like people, again, come to my business, which is a blessing, really, because it makes it so much easier because they know what they want, so I don't have to figure that out, and I know that they're very interested in working with me. So we just need to like figure out the small details of like how do we work together, and not like I don't need to sell to them and so on. And I am talking from a perspective of like a small business. I have 3 employees plus me, right? So I know that if I'm trying to grow something like 300-person company, it's probably a lot different. You need to go to tenders, you need to talk with people, what you guys discussed just before I joined. So. Mm. Yeah, I think that's so sorry to interrupt, Owen. I think that was the success because I never started with like I'm gonna sell you something. I started with just like I love AEC technology. It finally came around to like where something's exciting to talk about. So I started talking about it, and then it turned out, hey, maybe I can make this into a business in some way or form. Maybe I can make a course. Maybe I can make a workshop, and so on. Whereas most people say like they make a product and they're like, okay, let me talk about it, but actually sell the product in the background, which is people can read through that. So. Sorry. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Now you're raising the bar, or like that's the thing, man. People ask me this, and I have no idea what to say. I have no idea why my content is so successful on LinkedIn. Why people react to it. I have no idea. everybody's going to tell you, you need to do this, you need to do, like, I can tell you small things, but if they're going to work for you or not. So first of all, what I'll tell you is that you need to master how you communicate about it, because people tell me that my posts are very well formatted, easy to read, and easy to understand. So you need to meet people where they are, and not to talk about like some, huge paragraph that nobody can read, or like all of these hashtag this, hashtag that. Like, no, 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 no. So you need to master copy. You need to master how to communicate. But second of all, I think that people within what you're writing about, they need to see that it's coming from you. Like, because nobody has ever told me, hey, Stjepan, you're so much different in person than you're online. Everybody has thought, yeah. Okay, yeah, thank you, man. But I think it because I write from my heart. Maybe, I mean, probably I'm not the, because I know that I don't know who's listening to this, but maybe they're working in the marketing department for a company they just got hired by, and they need to make marketing content. It's probably different. You're probably like, but I don't know, like writing, meeting people where they are, and I mean, I don't know. Like, many things work for me. I can tell you like a whole list. I did some things that people wanted to learn. How did you do that? And then I posted about that. And then I really listened to what my DMs say. I really listen to every single person. I answer every single DM, unless they're trying to sell me something in the first message, like, yeah, buy this, buy that. I don't answer those, but I answer every single DM. I connect with everybody and ask like, what's the core issue, and then I try to connect it to a future post. So I think that works. But yeah, I'm probably underplaying it. There's a lot more work that goes into it than what I'm saying it right now. But yeah, I think that if people ask me, hey, yeah, you just gotta feel it, man. It's stupid to say, but you gotta feel what you're doing. You gotta feel that it feels that this is what you're made for in life, that this is why you're on this planet. Because we spend all of our times, waking hours, most of our time, we don't spend it with our wives and kids and something. We spend it working, right? So at least you gotta feel that what you're working on is beneficial to this planet, beneficial to the society. And I guess I'm one of the lucky ones that does feel that. And I think that people can see that through my posts. So I think that works. Ah, hey,
Thank you,
thank you
Stjepan.
guys. God bless you all. See you. Yeah, see you guys.
Oh my God, lots of conversations. Nick's going to teach us about dirt, soil remediation. I feel like I don't have intelligent questions for soil remediation. I'm here to learn. I mean, I think I would again go back to just stopping by and giving them a card, and here's a Starbucks gift card. Here's $10. This is what I'm looking to do. Can you help me? I actually find that many of them don't have a LinkedIn, so it's the best way to nurture them. It's so straightforward. It's so simple. I thought the conference was well, I mean, what Autodesk so how it fits to Edify. Autodesk released their estimating tool, which is absolutely not ready. It's not close to being ready. So it was great for us. A lot of decision makers were waiting to see what they would do. And I've already had people write me, they're quite disappointed. And I think they realize that, waiting for Autodesk to develop products is a long waiting process, and people need real solutions now. So yeah, it was wonderful news for us. It's just, I know a lot of people in the product team, they have some really smart individuals there, but developing software internally under that umbrella it's just quite challenging. You have a lot more, to quote someone's phrase, there's a big tax there when you're developing products, and I know it can be frustrating from personal experiences. Well, to be quite frank, honestly, I slacked in my team and I said, this is like Christmas in September, because Autodesk released a product that It literally cannot be used by any contractor. And then one of our competitors says they're moving to the cloud, but they're releasing a desktop application. And so both of them, in my opinion, kind of like poo-pooed on themselves. Okay. That is exciting. I don't know how many people in the US know who Goldbeck is. Yeah. No, I'm sure it's gonna be incredible. Mhm. People definitely wanna know because I already forwarded you one person that wants to. I think we should. Good to see you, bud, and good catching up next week. Well, it's easy because Maria and I have known each other